Today I'm checking out Hertz drums, and I'm doing so on my E-Kit. This is where I think the real test of a drum library is, and the only one I've really loved so far has been Steven Slate drums, and a lot of the others just haven't worked out as well. So today we're going to see how I feel about Hertz drums, and if, they could maybe unseat the king of Slate drums. I first heard of this company like a month or two ago when I saw them on Resington's channel, and if you don't follow him, you should. He's a great guy, cool music, lots of cool demos and stuff. They happened to reach out to me, and I had already been interested in looking at their products, so of course I said, yes, please send me drums and I will review them. So I did get these for free, but they are something that I wanted to check out anyways, and I just hadn't got around to it yet. So thank you to Hertz drums for sending me these. They sent me the red and white packs to check out and to show you. Hertz has their own custom plugin for their drum sampler, and it does look good. I've played around with it a little bit. There's a lot of options in there. The presets sound good so far, and with a little tweaking of things, especially the dynamics to make it work a little better on the E-Kit, they sound really good. So first I'm going to do a full mix demo, show you how it sounds in context, with some processing, some EQ, whatever the drums need to sit in the mix. And then I'm going to go through a playthrough of all of the presets of both the red and the white packs on the E-Kit, so you can see kind of how it sounds and how it performs just completely dry, just with the presets. And only thing I ever tweaked was the dynamics, which controls sort of the velocity curve, so how it responds to your drum hits. And that really depends more on the E-Kit than it does on the drum library. It really has to do with how your drums are set up, your module, all that stuff. I don't really have any complaints in terms of the sound. I think they sound very good. They're generally in my taste of drums. They sound big, they're roomy. I may play around with actually making them less roomy and having less reverb, but otherwise they are the kind of drums that I like, and I think I will continue to use them on projects in the future. I have already played through the presets, and so far I think it sounds really good. I like the way they respond. Again, just that one dynamics knob can control enough of the response of the drum that I didn't really need to tweak anything else. I just played around with the dynamics on the cymbals and the snare and my module just to get everything so that it felt the way I wanted it to. I turned off the humanize feature because I just know that I don't like those when I'm playing on the E-Kit, because I am a human.
You're human, and I was human. I am human, still.
You don't need to make me any more human. In fact, through editing, I make myself less human. So come on, I don't need that. But it's a good thing to have if you are programming drums. But for me, turn that off. I can show you a time lapse of how I set everything up in Reaper, how long it took me just from opening the plugin the first time to building a multi-channel routing of it and what that involves and MIDI programming. It was very easy. I mean, you can learn MIDI notes inside the MIDI map. It's got different articulations. It can tell you what those articulations are. So overall, yeah, the plugin is a good experience. It's easy to use. The only thing I couldn't find out and would be nice is if you can resize the plugin interface, but I don't know. It's not a deal breaker. It's big enough and it looks good, but I always like resizable interfaces because I do. There's a good amount of presets that go through some different styles, but they're all kind of within the same sonic family, you could say. If you like big, modern, polished drums, they're not overly produced, like fake sounding, but they do sound like really good modern studio drums. And that's what we usually want. Maybe they're a touch more raw and roomy and aggressive just right out of the box than Slate drums. I think Slate drums are still maybe a little cleaner, a little more polished, maybe even more natural. I don't know, but they responded how I wanted them to, and they sounded good. I would imagine you could drop them in and load up a preset, and they would sound pretty darn good right out of the box without anything extra on your end. I don't really have any problems with them. The only thing I wish I had was more cymbals on my kit, because there's a lot of cymbals in this, and it would be fun to have access to them, but that's my problem, not theirs. So I've got my kit set up, and I've tweaked some of the velocities and stuff, but otherwise I haven't changed the mix of anything. So we're going to see how the presets sound. Hopefully across the presets, it'll keep my velocity. We're just going to see sort of how it sounds raw, a raw playing example, no editing, just me playing the drums. First thing I'll say about the kick here, it sounds pretty massive. It's got a nice little roomy reverb, a real punchy tail to it. So first impressions, I'm really happy with how it sounds. It sounds really big and roomy. Now, I've split out everything into multi-channel routing, but I haven't really played with the mix. So I can try dropping the room mics and the reverb some in the mixer and just see how that sounds with a drier sound. But I like the big, powerful, roomy sound that we've got going on here. It sounds pretty massive just on its own. You might dry it up for the mix a little bit, or maybe not. Maybe just compress the hell out of the rooms. I haven't done any effects processing to the output, so this is just how it comes with the metal preset. Now, my hi-hat, if it sounds a little janky, it's because this pedal sucks. It's no fault of the drum software. It's just this terrible Roland hi-hat controller that I hate, and it never feels right with any software. But they do have a E hi-hat profile in the plugin that allows you to change that curve, and setting it to the closed bias sort of thing, that sort of makes it feel a little better to me, responds a little more how I want, but it's never perfect. And if I played with a hi-hat pedal all the time in my music, I would probably upgrade it, but I don't care about it that much because half the time I just leave it open anyways. All right, so I've just muted the room and the reverb channels, and it actually doesn't sound that different. So you can easily in the plugin dry up the drums individually, which is another cool thing about this. You can specify how much you're sending to the room and the reverb. So you might have to do that if you really want it much drier, but I've just muted the room and reverb channels, and we can see how that sounds. So I'm going to change to the next preset and just see how it responds to the dynamic changes I made, if it changes them back to default or not, because I've just got these set up so that these drums respond in a way that feels realistic to me and also sounds good. So let's see if it resets my settings or not. All right, so it did reset my settings. As you can see, the dynamic is now changed. So we might just have to kind of roll with the default dynamics. All I really did, and I can do it again easily, was just bump up the dynamics on the cymbals and lower it on the snare, because I've got this thing loud for other reasons that has to do with the module. And so I do like the dynamics changes I had made, so let me just show you what I did. And I'm not sure if there's a way to save that dynamic profile aside from the presets, because it would be nice to be able to do that. One other little thing that I like about slate drums, which is what I usually use, that almost no other drum library has, except maybe Easy Drummer 3 or Superior Drummer 3. I'm not sure. I haven't used it. But this one and most others, when you choke, you get a whole cymbal hit and a choke. And that's great if you're programming drums, but it would be nice to have the extra articulation added in there of just the choke sound. And they could honestly probably make it from the samples they already have. They don't have to recapture them, but if they added that in an update, that would be nice, so that for eDrum users, I could program this choke to not be a full hit, which sounds kind of weird. If I play a choke properly, I get a double trigger of the cymbal. So that would be a nice thing to add. You just cut off the initial attack, and so it's just the tail, so that when you go to choke it, you just get a short little sound. In slate drums, it's a pretty short little sample that doesn't sound like much on its own. But combined with the cutting off of the initial one, and then you get a little tail so it doesn't sound unnatural, that would be great. So maybe do that. Next up is the progressive metal, and I've done the same thing with my drum velocities. Next up is rock metal, and it's not metal, and it's not rock, it's rock metal. I love rock metal, it's my favorite genre. Finally, we've got rock. Just regular rock. Straightforward. That's it. Just rock. Next up, we're going to jump over to the red pack, starting with alternative rock. All right, kids, time to djent. All right, next up's funk rock. Next up is pop. Gonna sell out right now. Finally, we come to stoner metal, 420. I hope you enjoyed this demo of Hertz drums, and I would recommend them to anyone who's looking for a modern rock or metal drum library. It can do other things too, but that's what it's geared towards, at least in the red and white packs. So I think the white pack would be my choice for metal, but the red has some good options too, especially for depending on what kind of genre of metal you're doing. So go check them out. There'll be a link in the description, and thanks again to Hertz for sending them over to me for review. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.